Hello everyone, Chris Brophy, musically obsessed. Happy Saturday. So, I've been meaning to do this video for a while. I want to talk about the band SWA, and they are an SST band. I did a video on them a long time ago, about 7 months ago, and it was one of my, if not my first video where I was actually talking about music. Because I think I did a couple videos before that where I was just playing the guitar. I think I sang a John Denver song and maybe a Garth Brooks song. But the SWA video 7 months ago was, I think, my first video where I was talking about music. So, a long time ago, 7 months ago. I didn't have everything on hand when I did that video. I think I just showed some CDs and possibly some cassettes. I can't remember. So today I wanted to really do a proper SWA video. So if you are interested in sort of bands, punk bands that maybe are a little bit more obscure, but still freaking awesome, you should watch this video and you should definitely check out the band SWA. Okay, so this was their first album, called Your Future If You Have One. And again, all of these were released on the SST label. Now let me tell you who was in SWA, and this might, tempt you a little bit to check them out. Well, this is the back cover, by the way. You have Greg Cameron on drums, Richard Ford on guitar, Chuck Dukowski on bass. Now, Chuck Dukowski played for Black Flag, so that should tempt you a little bit. And then we also have Merrill Ward on vocals. I love Merrill Ward on vocals. Since we're talking about Merrill Ward, he came from the band Overkill. No, this is not the Overkill led by Blitz, who was a thrash legendary band. This is the SST Overkill. This is their album Triumph of the Will. If you like just awesome heavy metal with a punk edge, definitely check out Overkill. But I wanted to just tell you, this is where Merrill Ward came from as a vocalist, the band Overkill. And this album, I could do a video just on this album. This is just great, okay? But we're not talking about Overkill today. We're talking about SWA. So, their first album, Your Future If You Have One. So I've got it on vinyl. I also have it on cassette. And this album was not released on CD, okay? But SST put out an album called Evolution, 85 to 87, where they took a few songs from each of the first three or so albums and made of sort of like a greatest hits compilation. So some of the songs on here are on the CD comp, but again, it was never officially released on CD. But this is a cool little compilation album to have as well. So, how would I describe SWA? Well, they definitely have a Black Flag vibe to them because of Chuck Dukowski on bass. Chuck Dukowski wrote a lot of songs for Black Flag, so obviously his bass style and his songwriting is going to be very similar to Black Flag. But I feel like it's more of a polished sound, more of a streamlined sound. You definitely get some melodies in these songs. It's definitely hard and heavy, but there's more of an artistic quality to it, I would say. And just some really, really, really cool punk music. They had a totally different sound than any of the other SST bands. And they were one of those bands that I don't think people gave enough love to. So that's what I'm trying to spread the word of SWA, because these guys are great. Again, if you are just into 80s punk music, you've got to check out SWA. I mean, just the fact that Chuck Dukowski plays bass for them is reason enough. Merrill Ward is a great punk vocalist. As I said, he came from the band Overkill, and he just did a great job with not only Overkill, but with SWA too. So that's their first album. Next, they came out with an album called Sex Doctor. I love that cover. Red SST label. This could be a long video. This is the back cover. I love those photos of them. This is probably one of my favorite SWA albums. I also have it on cassette. Again, this was never released on CD, but again, it is on that Evolution Comp CD. What's on here? Well, again, we have Chuck Dukowski on bass, Merrill Ward on vocals, Greg Cameron on drums, and Richard Ford on guitar. So the same lineup. I love these songs. Catacombs is great. Sea and Sky, that should have been a huge hit. It's an awesome song. Sex Doctor is great. I love Oklahoma. Big Ride is great. The Evil and the Good, sort of a proggy, longer track. Really good stuff. I don't know if I told you the years of these albums. I probably didn't. Your Future, If You Have One, came out in 85. And Sex Doctor came out in 86. I would say for anybody first getting into SWA, check out Sex Doctor and check out the song Sea and Sky. If Sea and Sky doesn't do it for you, then there's something wrong with you, okay? Because it's just a great, great album. All right, next. I call this album affectionately Seals with Antlers. This was their third release. Cool label. When did this come out? This came out in 87. Now, we have a little bit of a change, excuse me, in lineup here. We've still got Merrill Ward on vocals, Chuck Dukowski on bass, Greg Cameron on drums, but we brought in Sylvia Juncosa on guitar and backing vocals. She's a great guitarist. She actually came out with some solo records on the SST label. I don't have any of them, but I've heard some of it, and it's really good stuff. This is another great album. I would say, like I said, if you're checking out SWA for the first time, check out Sex Doctor, but then check out this album, Seals with Antlers. It's awesome. I also have it on cassette. Again, this was not released on CD, but a lot of the tracks can be found on Evolution. You can still get the CD. So this is actually probably a good idea too, if you want to just get sort of an idea of what SWA is, pick this up. But back to Seals with Antlers. I love Optimist on this. I like Evolution. They've got the song Arroyo on here, which is an awesome song. They actually did a video for this. So, Google and go on YouTube and look for SWA Arroyo. Very cool video. They're out in the desert, and I dig it. I also like the song So Long. Another great album. I would say definitely listen to this after Sex Doctor. Yeah, look at that cover art too. Very cool. Next, I'm just so excited to talk about SWA. I love it. I feel like they're one of those bands that, like, if you're in the SWA club and you're SWA yourself, it's like you want to just spread the word of SWA and just let people know, like, dude, listen to SWA, become SWA. They're awesome. I told you Arroyo was the single. I have the Arroyo single. Side 1 is the short version, and side 2 is the long version. And there are some pictures from the video. Very cool. I'll show you what this vinyl looks like. Oh, yeah, I got a goodie in there. Love that SST label. Yeah, like a lot of SST releases, came with an order form where you could order a bunch of goodies. So that was the Arroyo single. Next up. Are you ready, folks? SWA Winter. So this was their, what? 1, 2, 3. This was their 4th release on the SST label. I've always loved that cover. This did come out on CD. I'm going to show you that in a second. What year was this? What year are you, Winter? 89. So 1989. Now, something interesting about this. Let me just show you here. Here's the cassette. And I did tell you this came out in CD. The CD is actually very hard to find. Now, the CD and the vinyl track list differ. On the vinyl, well, this is just a great album. Winter is awesome. Goddess is awesome. Conquest is awesome. I love Monster. I love Wasting My Time. Headphones is cool. The Man Upstairs. But on the CD, they actually add extra tracks. You've got Bad Acid, which I feel like, I think it started as an October Faction song. October Faction was sort of like an instrumental supergroup on SST that had Chuck Dukowski, Tom Tricali, a bunch of other people. I think Greg Ginn played with them. And that's, I think, where Bad Acid started. But SWA did a realized version of it. They also do a song called Desire and I Want to Know. So if you pick up the CD, you actually get a few extra tracks that the album didn't have. Did the cassette have those tracks? Yes, it did. The cassette, if you have the cassette version of it, it has the extra tracks on it as well. It actually says here, contains 3 bonus tracks. So this was the age where, 1989 CDs were becoming very popular. I think they were trying to get people to buy the CD instead of the record. So they added those 3 extra tracks. Plus, you could fit more music on a CD as well. So, that's pretty cool. This is another great album. I love Winter. It's a darker album. I think it's more along the lines of it's got more of a heavy metal vibe to it, a more hard rock heavy metal vibe to it. I really, really like it. You can still find the vinyl at a good price. I don't know about the cassette. The CD is hard to find though. So I'm happy that I have it. Next, their last album, Volume. And this is probably my least favorite SWA album. I also have it on cassette. And I also have it on CD. Let me tell you why it's my least favorite. Well, first of all, cool label. Let me show you what the back looks like here. I just feel like this album, and I'm not saying it's not a good album, I just feel like it lacks a little bit of a direction. And I think the main reason is because you've got quite a few vocalists on here. Chuck Dukowski does some vocals on this album. Phil Van Doon is how you say his last name. He does some vocals on it. Jack Brewer from... I'm drawing a blank now. Saccharine Trust, thank you. Woo, I haven't had enough coffee yet. He does a vocal on here, and Merrill Ward does do one song on here. I just would have liked to have heard this song with Merrill Ward singing all the songs on it. Nothing against the other vocalists, but I came accustomed to listening to Merrill Ward. I sort of had a connection to him. And then not hearing his vocals on this kind of detract from me a little bit. Again, nothing against the other vocalists, but I feel like Merrill Ward should be singing for SWA. And I think this album would have been better. So for me, it lacks a little direction. There are some good songs in here. I like Pull the Plug. I like Force the Issue. I like Destruction's okay. Definitely like the song that Merrill Ward sings on Decline. Yeah, it lacks a little direction for me. This album came out in 1991. This was the last SWA official release. I got a couple other little goodies to show you here for SWA. Now, I've showed these before when I did a video on my 45s, but I figured, you know what? Let's show them again since we are talking about SWA. Now, I told you guys that you should listen to the song Sea and Sky off of Sex Doctor. Well, I have the 45 of Sea and Sky backed with Sex Doctor. This is what it looks like on a white label. So it's, I'm assuming it's a promo because it also has a write-up about the band, and it also has a photo of them. So pretty cool. Sea and Sky, Sex Doctor, from Sex Doctor. Love that. And I also have the 45 of Optimist and Arroyo. Cool blue label. And it's interesting here. There's a little printout here. It says SWA Arroyo Optimist, January 30th, 1987, and it says Progressive on there. I don't know, did that come from the SST label, or is that something that somebody put on there? I'm not sure. Something interesting about this, I think the song Optimist differs a little bit from the original recording. I think it's, I want to say there's a swear word in the original recording, but on this version, it's blanked out. And I asked Chuck Dukowski about it on Facebook, and he wasn't sure. So I don't know if there's any other big SWA fans out there. Let me know. It almost seems like this might have been, a radio edit maybe, where they took the swear word out. But I could be wrong. I think I heard that, though, that way. So that's my SWA collection. Definitely check them out. I always try to spread the word of SWA. They are an underrated band. They had a great lineup. Merrill Ward was an awesome vocalist. Chuck Dukowski, I mean, what can you say? He's just an awesome bass player, great songwriter. His pedigree coming from Black Flag and the band Worm. Check out Worm too; they're a great band. Actually, I should probably just show you that real quick. This came out about a year ago, I want to say. Worm Exhumed. This was Chuck Dukowski's first band on blue vinyl. Very cool stuff. But I figured I'd just show you this because this is where Chuck came from. This is not the SST release. This is the first album with a bunch of added stuff, some demos and the I'm Dead EP. Very cool. So that's where Chuck Dukowski came from. So the pedigree is there. You just got to listen to them and give them a chance. They're just a great band. And, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. I'm going to keep talking about SWA, and I'm going to keep spreading the word, and I'm hoping to get them more and more and more fans. It's so funny because they're a band from the 80s, but I'd love to see them get back together again and tour again. I would definitely check them out. You know what I need to get? I need to get some SWA t-shirts. I know that there were some made. If anybody has any out there, I would love to buy them from you. I know that SST made SWA t-shirts. I don't even know if you can find them anymore. I think I've seen some come up on eBay maybe, but I would love a SWA t-shirt. I'm just a huge SWA fan. So listen, enough talking. You guys probably turned this video off 10 minutes ago. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And as I always say, listen to music.